Hello, Academy Northwest parents. This video is in lieu of the Academy Northwest parent training that we had on June 11th. You weren't able to come for whatever reason, so I still want to get this very important information to you. So it will be in this format, video format instead. Along with this video, you should have received an attachment with some documents that I would like you to print before watching this video. So if you haven't printed those documents, please stop the video, pause it, and go print those documents right now so that you have them as I talk to you. So just full, disclosure, I'm not going to be editing this video. I will be as succinct and quick as I can be. There could be animals in the background or whatever. I'm not going to take the time to edit it, but I will be as clear as possible and as concise. So the packet that you got should have this agenda in there. Okay, so I will be referring to this. I'm going to be following this agenda the whole time that I'm talking to you. Along with the agenda, which is 3 pages long, there are some supplemental things. So I labeled them with like an S1, for example, okay, S1 through S6. So as I'm talking to you, I will refer to those pages. I won't necessarily show them up on the screen. I'm not really good at doing a video along with the document. One day I probably will learn that. But for today, I just want you to have your printed documents in front of you so that you can follow along on my agenda and you can follow along on my supplemental material, which will help you understand what I'm saying. After you watch this video, there will be a Google quiz for you to take. This is just accountability. We want to make sure that you got all of the necessary information needed in order to be an Academy Northwest parent at Hope Learning Center. So to start, I would like to open us in prayer. Lord, thank you for today. Thank you for this time to communicate things for our program. I pray that the parents would understand what I'm talking about, and I just pray that the students would do well this coming year, that we would honor you in everything that we do and say. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, well, let's get started on this agenda. So, in June, we have 2 parent training meetings. One is in June 11th, and it's more where we talk about course contracts and expectations at Academy Northwest. We will be having another training in August. The August training will focus a little bit more on the student. We will talk about student portfolios. We will talk about more about their planner and how they record the hours that they do and things like that. So the August one will be a little bit more student focused, whereas this June one is more parent focused. And what are your commitments to this program, or what are things that you need to do in order for this program to work? So first and foremost, the top of your agenda, it talks about how we are a team. Okay, parent, student, and parent, teacher, and student. All right, we work together. We're a triangle. Okay, a tripod. We need each other. This is not a full-time program like a private school would be. A private school like Agape or Firm Foundation or Kingsway, the students go 5 days a week. And so it's a full-time, pretty much the school takes care of it. Of course, the parents support, but the school does everything. Well, in this case, at Hope Learning Center with our Academy Northwest program, we all need to work together, okay? It's not a drop-off situation, and some students are more independent, but we still need all of us. We all have our part. And so that's something that we really want to communicate. Now, students do get more independent, but we still need to be on the same page. So I'd like to start with the Academy Northwest time requirement. So historically at Hope Learning Center, to be honest and to be completely transparent, we have not followed through well enough with the hours requirement. So I would like to actually, I'm going to back up just a second. I want you to go to your supplemental page S1. It says Academy Northwest on the top. Okay, this one, this page. Okay, get that one out. So this is specifically for you as Academy Northwest students, parents. These are dates for you to keep in mind for the coming school year. I want you to remember, parents, your first payment will be due on Blackbaud on August 1st. That can catch some people off guard. That comes very quickly. Keep that in mind. They will email you that your payment is almost due, but make sure that that payment is ready to go. They have pretty steep late fees. Don't ask me how I know that. And you don't want to get their late fees. Okay, so just be aware. Put a reminder wherever you put your reminders, if that's on your calendar, in your phone, whatever. The second thing is the parent training. That was June 11th. Well, that's what this is. And then third, there's another parent training on August 27th from 10 to 12. Please make every effort to come. It's wonderful to be around the other Academy Northwest parents. We learn from each other. If you're a veteran homeschooler, a veteran ANW parent, and you feel like I don't really need it, it's repeat, guess what? You help us encourage the new parents. So we need everybody to come. I'll explain why in a minute, why these hours are important. Then we have the welcome back night ice cream social on Monday, August 26th from 6:30 p.m. Also, we are requiring that parents attend their students' first class to find out teacher expectations. We want to do this both first semester and second semester. I promise the time you spend there is going to be well worth it. You will understand teacher expectations, how they run their classroom, what they expect the students to turn in, and all of that. Remember, we're a partnership. You need to be supplementing at home, what's happening at Hope Learning Center. So by coming to that first class, you'll get a better picture of what the teachers are requiring. So the students, also we have that welcome back night ice cream social. That's for parents and students, but that's August 26th at 6:30. And then I'm not sure why we put that a second time, but anyway, then the group oversight meetings. So we are having group oversight the second Thursday of each month. Okay, it's once a month. I understand that some of you live several miles from Bethel Community Church. But first of all, I want you to remember it is right off the freeway, and it's once a month that we're asking students to come from 12 to 2:30. Mark your calendars for these meetings now. Sometimes once a month commitments are challenging. It's easy to forget them because, 3 weeks of the month you don't come and 1 week you do. So get those on your calendar now and put them as a priority. The first meeting will be Thursday, September 12th. Students will bring a sack lunch and stay the entire time. We are putting all the grades together this time. Last year when we did group oversight, we did one for 9th graders, 10th graders, and so on. We find it's much better. We're just going to put them all together. We might have breakout sessions for the different grade levels, but most of the time will be spent all together. During this time, we are going to be working on life practicum, a life practicum course, which is an Academy Northwest required course. It is things like we read Boundaries together, Atomic Habits, we do mock interviews, we learn to write a resume, we learn things around the house, like how often do you change your HVAC filter, and how do you create a menu, and then with cars, how do you change the oil? And so life practicum kind of explains what the class is about. Just life stuff, how to life, a little bit of home ec, a little bit of car maintenance and all of that, relationship building, that sort of thing, getting a job, those kinds of things. We will be covering those. We will be doing a few field trips together as well. So those group oversight meetings are so important. Now I'm going to get to the why are these Academy Northwest dates and requirements so important. Now I would like to have you look at S2. At the top, it says registration, information, and agreement 24-25. So you all signed this because you are enrolled. So you did sign this agreement. And I want to bring you down to the teacher agreement. So number 3 says to provide the parent guardian at least 2 hours of education assistance per quarter to confer, advise, review, and evaluate student progress. This may be concurrent with the 9 hours of interaction with student when parent guardian is present. So, and there's also number 2, it says at least 9 hours of interaction with the student each quarter. So if you do your math, we have 2 semesters, 4 quarters. So if it's 9 hours a quarter, it's 36 hours per year. So that is 36 hours per year with Academy Northwest students. So if they take classes at Hope Learning Center, one thing about us is that we are an a la carte learning center. So not all Hope Learning Center students are also Academy Northwest students. So when we have non-Academy Northwest students in with Academy Northwest students, like in our science classes, English classes, and history classes, that does not count as our Academy Northwest time. And that is why it is so important for you to come to the parent meetings. Not only is it beneficial and helpful to you, we make it, as applicable and as helpful to you as possible so that it's not a waste of your time, but it also fulfills this requirement. We're in contract with Academy Northwest. We need to follow our contract. We do not want to risk losing our contract with Academy Northwest. It's an accreditation thing. We need to be having enough time with our students in order to fulfill our accreditation requirements. So that's why we are doing the group oversight and the parent meetings. Also, we will be having, depending on your oversight level, we have 3 different levels. The top level has more time with the teacher, but bare minimum, you will be having 2 15-minute appointments a month with your oversight teacher. That's the one-on-one oversight where we talk specifically about your children and what their needs are and what they're doing, what's going well, what's going, what's challenging. And so those are the one-on-one oversights, and those happen twice a month for 15 minutes. If you're at a higher level, you might be getting more time than that, but at the bare minimum, you'll be meeting one-on-one with your oversight teacher twice a month for 15 minutes. Let me check my notes here. So again, for those of you that have been with us for a while, this might feel new to you. It's just that we're buckling down and really fulfilling the requirements. And we hope and pray that it will be to your benefit. It's not like it's busy work. We don't want to make it busy work. We will be working, using the time well, okay? But it is very important. We will be doing a couple of field trips as it is here on my agenda. One is the Creation Museum, which is going to be happening on September 19th. So you might want to jot that down now. We're really excited. There's a wonderful museum. We'll be going and exploring around the mountain as well. So again, I'm going to go through these time requirements on your agenda, that point 1. So the minimum time requirement is 18 hours per semester, 36 hours per year. So we're going to do 4 hours per year of parent training, again, June and August, 22.5 hours of group oversight. That's the once a month meeting. And I would encourage you to carpool. There's people that live near you that are going to be driving to Bethel as well. So why not carpool? And then the second Wednesdays, I am offering an online option. This is only available for sickness or in extenuating circumstances. Please do everything possible to attend in person on Thursday. It's going to benefit your children much more, and it's just going to be a better use of time. But I am offering that online one because I know life can throw curveballs, or we have other things on Thursday that you just cannot get out of. So please, 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 only in extenuating circumstances, and please talk to me about that if you need that option. Again, field trips, 5 hours of one-on-one oversight throughout the year. That's the twice a month for 15 minutes with your teacher consultant. And then we usually spend about 2 hours per year to gather grades and plan courses. So that will happen at the end of first semester and the end of second semester, where we meet to go over grades, either the grades taken at Hope Learning Center, those classes, but also there's always some sort of independent work happening at home. And so we need to confer with you to get those grades. All right, so let's move on to the next thing on my agenda, which is the 4-year plan. So in your packet, it is S3, Sierra 3. This document, you will see, whoops, it's upside down, the 4-year plan. Okay, so this is just mapping out, everything's in red on this one because red means they haven't taken it yet. So this is just an example. Your student probably won't be in this exact order, But Academy Northwest students, in order to graduate with us, they are required to take these courses. They are not that different than what the public school requires. We do have two classes that are unique to Academy Northwest, and that is Biblical Worldview, and that is Life Practicum. So let's look. Let's start at the top row. English. They are required to do 4 years of English, 3 years of social studies. That is to include world history, U.S. history, and civics, a half credit of civics, and a half a credit of current world problems. Math, they are required to do 3 math. Traditionally, that's algebra 1, geometry, and algebra 2. However, we offer a statistics class, which I highly recommend. We have lots of statistics and data coming at us in the political realm, just in our culture in general. And we believe it's very important for students to be able to sift through all that information, because obviously, I think we all know that statistics can be used for anybody's agenda. So if they learn how to do statistics, they'll be able to look through the agenda and just look at the raw data and learn how to interpret it. So that can work. Some students do consumer math instead of algebra 2. But again, those specifics can be talked to with your teacher consultant. The next one down is science. So we need 3 science. 2 of them need to be lab. 1 of them does not have to be a lab. A lot of students just do all 3 as a lab. PE, there's a lot of PE hours, 1.5. That's easy for sports kids or kids that dance, but some kids have a hard time getting PE. So let's get that started right away. It's a good habit that we all need to have our whole life anyway. So it can be personal fitness, just working out, going for a walk, weight training, all that kind of stuff, or it can be sports, or it can even be yard work. But let's get encourage movement. We all know, I think, that it's very good for our bodies, and we tend to be a sedentary culture. A lot of our work, especially for students, is sitting down. We need them to move their bodies. So 1.5 credits of PE and then a half a credit of health. Then we have Occ-Ed, which a lot of times students will just get a job their junior or senior year, and they earn their Occ-Ed that way. They can job shadow. They can even like TA at the Learning Center. We have a couple students doing that. Then the next one down is fine arts, 2 credits. That is a lot of hours in art. I believe every single one of us is artistic. We are made in the image of God. Therefore, we are creative, whether we think we are or not. We can get super creative in how students earn this credit. So, everybody can pick up some watercolors and some watercolor paper and a brush and go to town. People can make collages, or they can learn how to draw. Or I've had students who have done stamped concrete, for example. Woodworking, not just general construction that probably would go towards Occ-Ed, but anything that's a little bit more artistic, like maybe trim work or woodworking, things like that. Let's see. Oh, also like forging, so metal work, a lot of times for kind of quote unquote non-artistic kids. Sometimes those will work a little bit better. Wood burning, even Lego creation, photography. I mean, the opportunities are endless. So talk with your teacher consultant about that. We have lots of great ideas to fulfill that. But again, 2 credits, that's 300 hours of art. So that's a pretty hefty requirement. Okay, the next one is world language or personal pathway. Now, I recommend world language. I think it's a good exercise to struggle through that. But some kids, it's a little bit challenging for them to get through that. So we do have an option of personal pathway instead of the world language. Basically, what that is exploring options for after high school. So what are they going to be doing after high school? Are they college bound? Are they, tech bound, tech career, job, whatever? For example, I had a student this year who wants to go into music. He wants to make music his job. So we did, instead of world language, we did a whole bunch of work on music entrepreneurship and what it takes to be a musician for their life's work. So obviously they're going to have that business mind. So we created a course teaching the student how to run a business, because that's essentially what has to happen. So that's a good thing for world language. We do have some Spanish programs and ASL programs that we would recommend for you. Then again, here, the next one is the Academy Northwest required things life practicum, biblical worldview that I mentioned before. And then there are 3 credits of electives. So this can be Bible. This can be, so you notice for social studies, math, and science, there's only 3 required courses. So out of those 3, you could add a 4th one, and that would become an elective. Or, psychology or whatever they're interested in. I think that's what the electives should be. Let's keep it interesting. So that is the 4-year plan. And we update this along the way. Each semester, we add the classes that are complete, and we're always working with this worksheet throughout the year to keep track of where they are in their study. All right, the next item on my agenda is about credits. So to earn a credit, there's a minimum number of hours that has to happen for the course. So generally speaking, the hours would be for 1 credit, it's 150 hours. Okay. For half a credit, it's 75. For a quarter credit, it's 37.5. Basically, you just do the math. You start with the fact that 1 credit is 150 hours and you go from there. So the smallest unit of measure that we do on the transcript is a quarter credit. So you can't get anything less than a quarter. That's the base. If you're working on a credit in 1 semester and you don't quite get enough hours for it to be a quarter credit, we can hang on to those hours, keep building them up the next semester, and then we'll put the grade on then. So it's not like use it or lose it. We can keep carrying them over. The only time you would lose the hours that you're building up is if you withdrew for some reason. We're not able to make that up if you withdraw. But other than that, we can keep carrying them over through to the senior year until they reach the amount of credits that you need. So something to keep in mind with credits are based on hours and competency. So it's not necessarily just hours based. So if they're doing math and they get their lessons done quickly, they work through the curriculum, they score well on the testing and all of that, we're not going to make them add more hours just because they were lower on the hours. Okay. They show competency. They're able to get their work done more quickly. That doesn't mean that they have to put in more hours. Okay. Do you see? And as also, like with English, we set up a course. We know how many books they need to read in a year. If for some reason they're able to read through really quickly, doesn't mean that, if it takes them longer to read, and it doesn't mean that they're going to get extra credit because they stacked up a bunch of extra hours. Okay. So the hours are sort of a gauge for us. They're not gospel truth. Now, where they are sort of like black and white and we only go by hours is art and PE. Those are just hours based. So if it's a pass fail class and it's art or PE, we do need to see all of the hours before we can award any credit. Since there's not really a lot of grading or extra work happening, that is definitely hours based instead of competency based. Record everything. Okay, so we can get very creative. We're a very flexible program. Even if you don't know how it's going to be used, if they're in, let's say, 4-H or Heritage Girls or some other club like that, CAP, Civil Air Patrol, whatever it is, record those times. Those can go down as leadership. We can use some of those hours to create an elective course, but also we have National Honor Society. So for National Honor Society, the students are required to have leadership. So there's some leadership hours that they need in order to apply to National Honor Society. But also that could go towards OC-Ed. I have a lot of students who will work for their parents who are self-employed. Get those hours down. We can either use them for OC-Ed or some other things like that, PE, life practicum, et cetera, et cetera. Just always be thinking about what your student is doing and get those hours recorded. Always, be talking to your teacher consultant about ideas, and we will prompt you as teachers. We will ask what the student is doing, and they'll be recording those in their planner, which we will do more details on the planner at our August meeting. All right. I think that's it on the credits. So now I'm going to move, it's to the second page of the meeting agenda. You'll see a number 2 at the bottom, and we're going to go to grading and work samples. That's where we are on the agenda. This is likely the most challenging part of our program. Okay, as a teacher, grading is the worst part of my job. I don't like it, but it's kind of one of those necessary evils. It's something that we all have to deal with. It's how education is set up currently. So we need to be as consistent as possible when we are grading. It's really, really, really important. Okay. Just because students complete the work, that does not warrant an A. Okay. A is exceptional, above and beyond, phenomenal work. Okay. They go the extra mile. And if you want your kids to be earning A's, then we need to set up course contracts, which I'll talk about in a minute, to where they're going to be earning an A. There might be extra work beyond the average requirements because A is exceptional, phenomenal, above and beyond. Okay. B is more, it's good. It's very good quality, but it doesn't have that extra oomph, if you know what I mean. And then C work is average. Okay. Just kind of average. To me, C is like, yeah, they did it. Handwriting's not very neat, but they did it. And yeah, they wrote their essay, but it's the bare minimum number of words and they didn't really put forth, the extra effort. That's a C. Okay. That's average. They did it. Fine. You did it. You get a C. Okay. A and B is extra, is above and beyond. All right. And then D is below average. It is passing, but it's below average. Like maybe they didn't even quite finish or their answers are very short. And then F, of course, is failing. And if they fail a class, they will have to repeat it. So to help with grading, use rubrics. Let them know ahead of time what is expected. It is much easier to grade if you start with a rubric. If you start with what the expectations are, you're much more likely to be able to grade it well and fairly, right? Because if they knew ahead of time that they needed to have a certain number of paragraphs and each paragraph needed to have, 7 to 10 sentences, okay? So if I ask a student to write a paragraph that's 7 to 10 sentences, I can tell you that a 7-sentence paragraph is going to be more like a C or a B, whereas a 10-sentence paragraph is more likely an A. Okay, so those are some little tricks you can use, and you tell them that ahead of time. And maybe they only want to write 7 sentences. They don't mind earning a C. Again, if you want to push your kids to A work, that's up to you. Okay. And I'm not, no pressure either way. Okay. You know your kids, you know what their plans are for the future. You are the parent. I want you to push what you want, but I want you to be honest about what their grade really is. Please do not give A's just because they finished their work. And we're working together on this. We do have to defer to you on some of your grading because some of these classes are completely independent of us. Yes, we oversee it and we look at some work samples, but we don't see every single piece of work that the student does. There's just not time for that. So we are working together and we trust you that you are being fair and consistent in your grading and you're not just slapping an A on it because they finished. And if you have questions and you want guidance and you want us to look over some of the assignments with you, that's what you do in our one-on-one appointments. But please, it's really quite important because a school-wide thing is certain scholarships happen because a student is in the top whatever percent of their class. So if we have college-bound students who really are A students, and then we have students who aren't college-bound and aren't doing this quality of work, but they're getting A's, well, that lessens the chance for the highly academic student who really is an A student. It lessens their chance at a scholarship because it will lower their percentage in the class. I hope that makes sense. That's just one little example of why we want to keep it tight and keep it as accurate as we possibly can. If you have more questions about that, please reach out, let us know. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is course contracts. So to help with this grading and to help with all of that, It helps that start, not helps, it's required actually. We all need to be using course contracts for the classes that you are doing at home. So these can be found on S Sierra 4, 5, and 6. So the very first one is this one, okay? And this is a blank grade contract and course plan. Basically, what a course contract is, it's a written down plan of what you're going to do. Some of these will be super detailed. Some of them don't need to be as detailed, especially if you're following a curriculum and you're pretty much going to follow the scope and sequence of the curriculum that you're using. So if you're using Bob Jones English, which I don't know, I'm sure some of you maybe are doing that, then you would say follow the syllabus, except we're going to leave out this, that, or the other thing. Okay. But if this is a course that we've created together, you're going to need a lot more detail on here. All right. So again, you can work with your teacher consultant on that, but it's very important to have a course contract for each class that you are doing at home independently. If your student is taking English, history, math, or science with us at Hope Learning Center, you do not need to do a course contract. We take care of that for you. We are keeping an eye on those courses, we're grading their students, and we are assigning all of the necessary assignments for it to meet the requirements. All right, and then S5 is a sample English course contract, and this is for one semester, so half of a year. Okay, I put, and this is actually was based on one of the English classes that I taught, but you'll see the books they're reading and the grammar that they're doing and their vocabulary, their essay writing. So that is a basic course contract that you can see as an example. And then there's an art studio example of what the student is going to be doing. This is actually could earn a grade. Usually art is pass fail. It's just easier that way. But you can see that example. It's a little different format than the other ones, but just wanted to give you those as some examples of what a course contract is. So we want you to be working on those this summer, at least get a sketch or an outline of the course contracts for each of those courses that you are watching or not watching, for each of those courses that you're doing at home independently. Okay. Again, HLC classes don't need a course contract. The classes that you're doing at home do. All right. So I'm going to go through sort of briefly each subject. Okay. So first, English. And we did a lot of brainstorming in the meeting in June. Some of the other moms gave ideas and things. So you won't get that part of it. Maybe one of these days we'll have the technology to record those meetings live, but we just don't really have the equipment. If any of you know how to do that, we would love the help. All right. So English, high school English, English 9, English 10, 11, and 12, they all must include 4 parts. 1, composition, so writing, essay writing, creative writing, literature, at least 6 full titles each year, if not more. 3, there must be a vocabulary component. And 4, there must be a grammar or editing part. A lot of curriculums do not have all of these things. IEW, for example, it usually just covers composition. They do have fix-its, but the IEW writing with structure and style, for example, that is just composition. So you need to make sure that you get these other elements in the English as well. There are programs that have all of it. Abeka, Bob Jones, The Good and the Beautiful, Sunlight. Those all cover those 4 areas, but please make sure that you use all of those in the curriculum. They need all of that. We can help you put that together, or you can take one of our phenomenal English courses at HLC. Second, history. So a few that I recommend. Abeka is a very workbook-based program. Some kids want it. My oldest kid, and he loves history, he just wanted a workbook. I gave him the option. Do you want one that has a lot of projects, it's project-based, or do you want to just kind of motor through, read, answer questions, take quizzes? That's what he preferred, and he worked through it very well. So Abeka is going to be, and Knotgrass, they're pretty workbook-y based. Okay. Knotgrass does have some projects, which I really like. I'm a huge fan of project. I feel like project-based history makes more of an impact on them, and they begin to understand and appreciate it much more that way. But again, up to you, up to your kid, what you think is best. I highly recommend Compass Classroom. The Compass Classroom, Dave Raymond, they have American history, modernity, which is modern world history, antiquity, which is ancient world history, and now they have Christendom. So I highly recommend those because they are videos. Then they have readings and quizzes, and he also suggests a lot of really great projects as well. So I highly recommend Compass. It's one of my favorites right now. I'm sure that could maybe change at some point, but right now that's one of my favorites. All right, math. Oh, math. All right, let's challenge our kids. Okay, math is hard. It's challenging, and the requirements for high schoolers are going to be tough for some of them. But Saxon works. There's IXL for supplement. Please, if you're using teaching textbooks or Math UC, both of those programs are going to work okay, but they are not. There's holes in them, and for kids who are going to go on to college, those are going to make it challenging for them to be able to place in college level math. And even if they just want an Associates of Arts degree, they're going to need to be able to test into college level math. So I highly recommend that you do something challenging. Even if it seems like a lot of work and it's challenging to them, let's push our kids. Let's prep them for their future. And if you're not able to teach math, I really recommend that you get help. I'm an English and history person. I'm not a math person. I could help my kids through Algebra 1, but beyond that, I wasn't really able to help. So please challenge them in this way. You just don't know where they're going to go. And even if they're not college bound, it's good for problem solving. I mean, how many of you have worked through something really hard and you grew because of it? For example, I love hiking and I climb mountains. It is hard, and I'm partway through my mountain climb. I wanna give up, but I tell you what, if I give up and turn around, I feel worthless. I'm disappointed. Of course, there's reasons if I am hurting, I'll turn around, but I mean, generally speaking, if I push through, I'm a stronger person because of it. I conquered it. I became stronger and I feel so awesome at the end. And the same is true for math. When the kids work through it and they get it and they work hard, and yes, it's a lot of work and they have to study and they have to take lots of notes, they're better for it. Let's push our kids. Humans want to be lazy. Laziness gets us nowhere. So, um, just be careful in what you're choosing. If you choose teaching textbooks, which for a lot of parents, it's better because it's automated grading, I would encourage you to supplement it with, like I said, with Khan Academy or IXL. There's other things you can supplement it with. If you use something like Alex, it's comprehensive. It's definitely has enough information in it. It covers a lot. I definitely need you to have your students have a writing component as well. It can't just all happen on the computer. They need to be taking notes and writing down their stuff on paper as well. All right, for science, of course, we have the lovely Miss Baker teaching most of our science classes. We also have the lovely Mrs. Payne, who's teaching some of the younger science now. But if you're not able to do that, there's Apologia, Master Books, Berean Books I recommend. They teach from a Christian worldview. Foreign language, pretty tough to do on your own. Some use Rosetta Stone. I recommend taking ASL. There's some classes for homeschoolers, and also Clark College has a very good ASL program, and you could access that when your student is a junior or senior through Running Start. I recommend that if cost is prohibitive to you. If you don't want to have to pay for one, you can get one through the Running Start program. It was very effective for my girls. Also, Senor Rig is a phenomenal Spanish teacher. All of his classes are online, but he teaches in a very interesting way, and I recommend him for that foreign language. And then for electives, be choosing things of high interest to your student or subjects that might help them for their future plans. My daughter my oldest daughter went into interior design. She knew that she wanted to do that. So we worked on some SketchUp and Canva and a little bit of AutoCAD. So if you know that they're interested in something like that, do an elective course in that. If they think they maybe want to become a counselor or a social worker or even a teacher, have them take a psychology class. Make it interesting. This is the electives are a place where you can let them choose something that suits their fancy, something that's really interesting to them. So be creative with those electives. There's a lot of good elective type classes on Seven Sisters curriculum. I recommend that. There's finance, psychology, speech, different things like that. All right, PE. Again, I think I talked about this a little bit earlier, but personal fitness, sports, health. Apologia has a great curriculum, and Seven Sisters actually has a decent one as well. And then occupational education, that's job or job shadowing. Get them thinking about their future steps. It's not to pressure them, but it's just to get them thinking about it, right? They need to be able to have a living wage job, support their family and all of that. And so giving them these skills in their classes, in their English and history and math and science is very important, right? That's foundational. But also just getting them to be thinking about what could their life's work be? I mean, that can be fun to think about. It doesn't have to be high pressure. And then, so art, again, hours, take a course, life practicum. We're going to do that in group oversight this year. And then biblical worldview, I highly recommend Rob Goff at HLC. We offer that class every year. Also, Worldview Academy is an amazing program. They meet in the summer at a local college. I know they meet at Corbin University in Salem. So the students go there for a week. I think there's one up north, maybe Western. I'm not sure. But anyway, it's kind of in the Seattle area, I think. I would choose Corbin. Both of my boys graduated from Corbin, and it's a great place, and it's closer than Seattle. So it's just an hour and 15 minutes away. So anyway, they go for 1 week and they get high quality lectures. I mean, they get college professors teaching them. And my son went. Unfortunately, only one of mine ended up going, but it was huge in his life, and he just absorbed so much amazing information. So some people say that it's expensive. I feel like that's kind of relative. I mean, when you think about what they're staying there for 1 week, all of their meals, their lodging, everything's taken care of. Plus, they're getting professor level lectures. Like, these are brilliant teachers, and your students are sitting under them for an entire week. So, I say it's worth the investment. Figure out a side hustle. I don't know, but I just don't think it's expensive for what you get. Yes, it's a financial commitment, and some of you might not be able to do that. I understand that, and I respect that. But I also know that it is worth it. So if there's any way possible, I highly recommend it. All right. So then the last thing that I have there on the agenda, for those of you that don't know, I have recently started a podcast, and my podcast is called The Intentional Homeschooler Podcast. My desire for this podcast is to minister to homeschool moms. Of course, dads can listen to it, and even non-homeschool people can listen to my podcast. But I was advised to have a very specific audience, and that's who I'm talking to. I am talking to homeschool moms. And anyway, the goal is to encourage, to give practical ideas. They're every other week on Thursday. And I talk about curriculum, general homeschool questions, homemaking, motivating your students, even personal growth kind of issues. So if you or somebody that you know could use the encouragement, I would love for you to check it out. I want to encourage you in your homeschooling journey. It can be tiring, but I am on the tail end. My youngest of 4 just graduated this year. So I graduated from Homeschool Mom. I plan to stay in the homeschool community to continue to encourage homeschool families because I see the value in homeschooling your children. It's an amazing opportunity, and I promise it goes way too fast. And before you know it, your high influence time is over. Like me, I'm already there, and it just feels like that. It feels really fast. So anyway, there is that, and there will be a quiz again on this content. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I hope to see you at our next parent workshop, which will be happening in August. I look forward to working with all of you, and I hope you have a wonderful summer. Take some time to do some different things. I know we at Hope Learning Center are taking the time in July. We're not going to be responding to emails. We're pretty much going to go black in July to refresh and do some other things, but we will be back busy as ever in August. So I look forward to seeing you then. Take care.